Okay. And it's captions without a doubt the most compelling evidence presented to the court. If the defense is unable to shed any further light on the matter, I believe the conclusion is clear. Oh no. Sasato, this is the time for you to fight. If what you've established so far is true, then there can be no doubt. This photograph shows the moment that Ray withdrew the blade from the victim. Yes, we just need to prove that somehow.
You have plenty of time to rue your defeat and slow train back to the provinces. And to rue the day you came against Takatsuki Eiuchi in a court of law.
If I can't determine who took the photographs, then the trial is going to come to an end. There must be a clue somewhere. There must be some way of working out who took it. Well, counsel? Your Excellency. The burning question is who took the photograph, and the truth is, I have the answer. This is about whether I can or can't come up with the answer now. I simply have to. The identity of the person who took the dramatic photographic print is, I assure you, something the defense can and will reveal.
What? No, you can't possibly. But as you so boldly claim that you can, please do enlighten us.
Unfortunately, I'm unable to present a name.
How utterly underwhelming. Did you really believe you could?
However, I am able to present evidence. The defense has a piece of evidence that reveals the important details about the photographer's identity.
What?
Very well, then, counsel, present your proof to the court. Which piece of evidence do you claim reveals something about the identity of the mystery photographer? What's that? The newspaper again. Russia's English returnees. Tell all. It's not the headline that's relevant here, Your Excellency. It's the photograph. If you look at it closely, you'll notice that there are some white lines on the right-hand side. Ah, yes, indeed. They already caught my eye, as it happens.
Ha! What of it? A shadow of some kind, presumably from the branches of a tree or like?
There are no trees growing inside my laboratory at the university, I can assure you. Now, if you look closely at the photograph, good gracious. Yes, exactly the same pattern of lines is present on this photograph too.
Well, that tells us nothing. Ha! Yes, the shadow of some kind of, definitely, from the branches of a tree.
There wouldn't be any trees. Nope.
That one's my fault.
Okay, I thought it was my fault. Wouldn't be any trees growing inside a hut at the beach council. Please note that the balance went down $7. What's quite remarkable about that is that the two patterns are absolutely identical. How could such an extraordinary similarity have transpired? The curious matching pattern that appears on both photographic prints is a result of camera defect. No, we went down $7, so we're back to tree fitty. Obviously, it must be due to a problem with the camera used to take the photographs.
Was the photographic device?
Yes, we can confidently say that the camera lens must be scratched, and that the scratched lens causes unwanted lines to appear on every print taken with the device. In short, the two photographs under consideration here, were taken at the same camera.
But there must be hundreds of cameras of such devices here in the capital. It would be utterly impossible to identify the owner of this particular one.
Yeah, tree pity. I think you're forgetting Professor Achi, Prosecutor Achi, that one of the photographs featured in the newspaper article. A newspaper. Oh, it's back up to 1050.
Where's his paper?
That's right. The author of the article is the mystery witness to this crime.
What? What?
Me. He's here, isn't he? I see why you were called a Rochas England returnee.
What are you yelling about? You've already testified.
It's Menimemo, I tell you, Menimemo! Me, ni, me, mo. Did he just do a crotch thrust? Saseki-san, what was that? Did you say many memo? Ever since I returned to Japan, a reporter from the Shoyu News has been hounding me, following my every move. Reporter by the name of Raiten Menimedo. Yes, hounding me from dawn till dusk. Ah, now that he mentions it. They secretly spy snapshots, scribble stories, and scupper my privacy. That's him right there. Oh, he has something on his hand!
What could that be on his hand?
I don't know the color of the wine, the photo in color, so, but that wouldn't stay as long. Could be the
I
ink
will go ahead and tell you that that puddle is water.
in a wine glass. This thing here.
Think back to Case 1. What they were drinking water out of those like carbonated water out of those glasses.
Oh yeah, it is. That is carbonated water, isn't it? Damn it.
Give it a little time. I think you might figure out what it is on his hand very quickly.
Do I have the? It's Cusco's poison. The poison the poison specifically made for Cusco.
The poison for Cusco. The poison chose especially to kill Cusco. Cusco's poison.
Did she actually manage to nick him with the pen?
Keep progressing, you'll learn.
Could the same reporter be? Camera to the left of him, a notebook to the right. There I am, stuck in the middle with Writing Memo. Also with the RM.
Do you see the pun?
Yep. Writing
memo.
writing me a memo. Writing me a writing me a memo. Fuck. I can't say it.
Writing many memos.
So you're saying the picture was taken by Many Memo. Yes, my lord, your excellency, Esquire. Officer, find this newspaper reporter at once and bring him to my courtroom. We will adjourn for a short recess in the meantime.
He's over there.
Oh yes, your excellency. As you say.
You say, your excellency.
God damn it. And one more thing. I want this knife, the murder weapon, examined for traces of poison. You will solicit the assistance of the Imperial University's medicinal department for the task. Understood.
Many memo.
Cusco's poison. The poison directly made for Cusco. I think if we're just talking about the Emperor's New Groove, I think my favorite joke in the entire movie is they managed to run ahead. I think they cut him off at a bridge or like somewhere very big, and they ran straight to the capital. And for some reason, the old lady and whatnot beat him there.
Beat him there still. Like, yeah, by all accounts, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Alright, I need to run to the bathroom real quick. So before you continue.
Short break then. Okay.
Short break. Everyone take a bathroom break. Maybe get a snack. All that jazz. We be back here in 5 minutes. Got it?
5-minute break.
Woo!
poison directly for Cusco. Cusco's poison. So I'll have to make a mental note to edit this out the video. I guess I could just trim it somehow. I'll have to remember. For those that are waiting, hello everyone. Shout out to the Lord Shiro. Shout out Zero Dragon. Are you still streaming, Zero Dragon? Do you still do streams? I haven't seen you on in a long time, but maybe it's because I made the global transition.
Global transition.
Global transition. Anyone else deserve a shout out? Ah. So IZ doesn't stream, but they're playing no game. So he doesn't stream, however, he is a largely somewhat successful video game developer. You might want to check out his works. Carpe Diem, Carpe Diem 2, and Without Romance, I think it was called, Without Romance. Either way, you can be sure that Global Saturation. He's definitely has more down. It's his like games are actually on Steam. Do you have a game on Steam? I don't.
If I was smart enough, I'd be able to make a game, but I don't have that tech savviness. I'd only be good for like story creation or something.
Yeah. Either way, check out his games. They are free. Support the man. He needs to eat. Just kidding. No, he's fine. Okay. There's my PC. There's my Switch. All right, let's go.
Also, I will say I'm claiming Raiton's voice.
You go ahead. You better do it well, man. I don't know how this guy's gonna act.
I don't know how he's gonna act. That's why I'm saying I'm taking it over.
I'm so sorry, Sasato. I should have told you about the toxin. Ray. You have a strong sense of responsibility, I know. That's why you decided to shoulder the burden alone. No, that's not it at all. I was scared of my failure coming to light, that's all. So I hoped to retrieve the substance from the Englishwoman before anyone found out.
We'll also say his all the notable characters from this game have their own custom theme. Raiten's is a bot. It's one of my favorites.
Okay. Before the trial started, you remember what you said, Sasato? That you had no doubt in your mind about my innocence. That you'd stand by me till the last. I remember. And you doubted her for a second. And yet I didn't deserve your trust in me. I hid important details from you, Sasato. I completely betrayed your faith in me. Hit me, Sasato. I deserve it. No, in fact, throw me to the floor. Oh, Sasato takedown. Now that's too good for me as well. Drag me through the city streets. I'm no better, you know. Oh. Even though my heart, I knew that you pulled the knife blade from Miss Brett's back. There was just a brief moment when, in my mind, I doubted you. Sasato, I'm sorry. After I stood here and promised you that I'd stand by you always and be by your side, I betrayed your faith in me too. And as such, I failed you as a lawyer. Oh, no, no, no. I think the situation has taught both of you a valuable lesson. Placing your unbridled faith in another is no easy task. Yes, Father, the fact that has certainly struck home. Which is why I can see more clearly now. The rain is gone. So Ray is gone. Yes. Can you find it in your heart to forgive me? Oh, Sasato. You know you'll always be a gallant, dashing lawyer in my eyes now. Oh, Ray. I was so scared, you know, when it happened. I didn't know what was going on. The Englishwoman was sitting at the back of the hut, listening to what I was saying. I know it was you who stole the poison. Well, now, whatever do you mean? And then a moment later, she suddenly got to her feet before collapsing on the floor in front of me, with the knife in her back. It all happened right before my eyes. And you were the only people in the hut at the time. That's right. Just Miss Brett and myself. There was no one else. So I just don't understand how she could possibly have been stabbed like that. A great mystery indeed. I still can't believe it happened. That's why I just couldn't bring myself to speak up. It will be all right. However it happened and whatever really went on by the sea that day, I promise you that I'm going to prove everything you saw was true. Spoken like a true Mikotoba. Now, I think we should discuss what's coming up in the trial, don't you? We don't have much time. We must make sure we have our facts in order. Yes, I expect the poison is going to come up under close scrutiny in the upcoming proceedings. The police should hopefully have identified it on top of the blade by now.
I just noticed, how come you don't have PCG in your chat?
Have what?
The Pokemon community game. Like the Pokemon thing that was kept popping up in my chat. How come you don't have that?
I don't know.
I thought I sent you the info to set it up.
I'll pass on it.
Why not? Why?
I'm actually like I'm the way I see it is I want to be the streamer I want to be, right? So the TCG thing might work for you, but for me, when I like watch your stream and other people who happen to do the same thing, I get really distracted by it and like it pulls my immersion away from what you're doing, if that makes sense. Right? So people who do like alerts like, hey, you could follow this guy on YouTube, and then it has that appear every 10 minutes. I look at it every now and then and I think it's someone else chatting. You know what I mean? The trouble is, it's a completely new laboratory synthesized blend of alkaloids. The police won't have any way of testing for it. Oh, I see. Yes. With this chemical reagent, it's impossible to detect the toxin. Chemical reagent. I sent a colleague of mine off with some earlier to deliver the police headquarters. I think perhaps you should have some as well, though, just in case. The chemical reagent has been entered into the courtroom. Oh, we have some on us.
I wonder what that means.
What's the matter, Sasato? You're suddenly very quiet. It's a newspaper article. Exclusive. Deadly poison stolen from Yume Medical Research Laboratory. I'm wondering how the information got out, given that I had it was a government secret. It was all the Englishwoman's doing. What? It was when the professor and Saseki-san were being interviewed by the laboratory. That so-called English lady swaned in and without any compunction said to Professor Mikotoba, "Oh, Professor, surely your guests would love to hear about your work on that substance there." It put me in a very awkward position, to be frank. But Saseki-san's curiosity had been piqued, so I had little choice but to give him a cursory introduction. So then, Saseki-san knew about the poison. Yes, and it's highly likely that the reporter who was writing up the story about us would have caught a glimpse of the toxin, too. This many Memo-san. By the way, did the reporter join you at all when you went to the beach? Oh, no, I don't remember the reporter being there. Indeed, he shouldn't have been. I very much doubt anyone would have wanted him there. Oh. A known criminal had been given permission by the authorities to bathe by the seaside. Saseki-san pointed out that inviting a reporter might be problematic, so the man was sent back to his office. Yet he obviously didn't go back. He secretly followed the party to the beach and took his very candid photograph, and then presumably posted it anonymously to the police. Ah. Yes, that must be what had happened. Counsel, we just heard that the new witness is now ready to testify. The trial is about to resume. Please proceed to the courtroom at once.
I love how the bailiffs are so much more respectable in this case than they were for the first case.
Yeah. Time to
The
steal
first
it.
one was like, criminal.
Yeah, but that's because I guess he's talking to the big wig here, though. Might because he's present, but I don't know. I guess he was present in the first one, though. Defense attorney,
Yep.
Ryotaro Narahodo. Yes. Reyes put her faith in me now and told me everything. So I can't let her down. I have to prove that what she's telling the court is true. I have to prove what really happened that day. I'm going to be honest. I think this reporter has something big to do with the first case, anyways. Because if the matter was completely secret, right, there's either two reasons. One reason could be that he has no affiliation with the lady whatsoever, and his motive is purely just the story, right? The other reason,
Story.
like maybe he just wanted the photo of that person killing her in the first place to spark some global war, right? If a photo like that was posted of a Japanese lady pushing her down with a knife, right? Relations with Japan and the country of origin would be quite terrible, to say the least, right? So that's one reason, potentially. The other reason is either he hates one of the two ladies in that room. He either doesn't hate the criminal lady and instead actually rather hates the lady he would pin it on. Why else would he send a photograph that shows the lady he wants to pin it on in the act at the time, right? If he didn't want her in jail for whatever reason. So he could know the other lady. He's clearly a stalker, that's for one. I hereby call this court to order as we reconvene to continue the trial of Remember Me.
I wouldn't call it stalking. I would call it passion.
Oh no. This ain't going this ain't going where I think it is. Professor Achi, have you summoned this new witness? Note to self. Please put a warning up on the start of the episode. If it doesn't exist, I forgot about this very moment. Professor Achi, have you summoned the new witness?
Before I address that question, Your Excellency, I have some very important news to share.
Oh? What news? And why does he look so happy about it?
During the recess was a collaboration of the Professor Mikotoba's laboratory at Yume University. The police re-examined the knife that was used to end Mr. Silbred's life.
Excellent. I admire your rapid handling of the matter.
Oh, too kind, Your Excellency. Too kind. I was merely carrying out your instructions, of course.
I had the reagent delivered to the police headquarters by rickshaw so it would be there good in time. But judging by the man's swagger, I fear we might need to brace ourselves for the inevitable. And counsel, what were the results?
Dagger, which was so cruelly used to end the life of the victim, has no trace of poison anywhere along its blade.
What?
Wah, wah, wah.
Are you sure about that?
I would stake the reputation of the police on it.
Armed with a reagent to test is extremely simple. They couldn't have made a mistake.
In short, the accused's feeble excuse earlier has been utterly destroyed. Now, the prosecution is ready to call the new witness.
Ah, the newspaper reporter managed to capture a photograph of the crucial moment. Good. Very well. Officer, bring in the new witness. No trace of poison on the knife. But if that's really the case, how could the toxin have entered the victim's body?
Witness, state your name and occupation for the court. Right in Minamemo, from Shoyu News. I'm what people like to call a journo.
What's a journo, Father? Do you know? It's simply a contraction of journalist.
I'm there where the news breaks. Putting pen to paper, catch those scoops so they're in print the next morning. They don't call me the hero of the herald for nothing. The nice guy of the news in here.
So it was you who took this photograph, was it?
Well, what have we here?
I'm sorry?
When I first heard him going off on this little tangent right here, I thought he realized Sasato was a female, but then it's not. Oh, brace yourselves, people. Memo senses a scoop in the offing. Female student up to foul play, defended by curiously handsome young lawyer in Supreme Court. The readers will lap this up. We'll set it above the fold at a 72 point in the 5-leg format in the morning edition.
Huh?
I just love her puzzled face. Right then, let's start with your name.
Oh, it's Ryotaro Naruhodo.
Next, what made you want to become a lawyer?
I wanted to reform our country's legal system, I suppose. Ryotaro has suddenly become very ambitious, I see. I just borrowed Kazuma-sama's stream for a while.
Also, Zero Dragon has made the same point I did when I played. He's like, I'm putting pen to paper, and he's literally holding a pencil. He does not have a pen on him. By the way, my name is Taketsuki Euchi. That's Taketsuki Euchi.
Uchi.
The so-called Dark Horse is the Supreme Court. My objective is to strike fear into every defense lawyer's heart.
He doesn't care.
No, the readers won't buy that. What?
Witness.
Yes?
What the court's demand to know is whether or not you were responsible for the taking of this picture. It was delivered anonymously to the Imperial Police Bureau only yesterday.
Yeah. Wouldn't be a journal if I didn't take a quick click. Yeah. It wouldn't be a journal if I didn't click quick when presented with a scoop. Like now, would I? Sometimes stories call out to me. Sometimes I have to chase them down. But either way, you gotta be fast. Fast legs to run with a hand fast to write with. Good for if you know. I cannot. I'm trying to speak fast because he's very eccentric,
Yeah.
and I can't. It's no good if you don't note it down. I will say. That's what I call my mini memos.
Mnemosyne? Is that what he's going for? Ah, yes, I remember your face. We met that day when you were interviewing myself and Saseki-san.
Yes, right. That was me. Mini memo again.
But you were supposed to be going back to the Shoyo news offices after our meeting.
But the scoop is, I didn't. Because that Englishwoman's words had piqued my journalistic interest.
Miss Brett's words.
A criminal, left to do as she pleases, just as she happens to be a British citizen. It's horse town. This country's judiciary is rotten to the core. The Supreme Court's ruling aren't worth the paper they're written on. The police are just imperial pawns. And now you start to see what's going on with him.
I get him.
Say your tongue, young man. There are complex political issues at play. Well, anyway, I quickly jot down those words he said in my mini memo pad. Are you ready? I'll read it out. All here. Right, here it goes. I should like to go with you, everyone, to see your country's coast. A serious criminal going on some junket. People need to know about this. That's why I decided to sneak after them. To get the woman's story. So I could hammer her in the press.
Do you mean to say that you did indeed witness it firsthand? The grim scene portrayed in this photograph.
Oh yes, I saw it with my very own journal eye. From start to finish. This is a viewfinder of my trusty camera.
Vigilante, if I've ever heard of one.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Minamino-san. You will now give a formal testimony before the court. You will state exactly what it is that you witnessed in the events surrounding Miss Brett's death. The camera never lies.
The beach hut was made of shoddy old reed screens, so there was plenty of gaps I could see through.
No disagreement there?
The Englishman was sitting on a stool when the girl came in and started arguing with her. Seconds later, the girl pulled out a knife, throwing the Englishwoman to the floor, then stabbed her in the back. My smoldering journal spear burst into flames, quick as flash. I whipped out my camera and ready to click. Pulled apart the weave through one of the screens and poked the lens through for the perfect shot.
Read screens, you say?
Right. You can see them clearly enough in the great shot I snapped. The hut walls were just screens, made of coarsely woven reeds.
Yes, it allows the breeze to pass through and bring some relief to the summer heat.
And there's a breeze for me to poke my camera through and see the whole thing hot enough.
Ignoring for the time being the appalling invasion of privacy involved, did you witness everything that happened from the moment the defendant entered the hut?
Oh yes, I saw it. The whole thing, start to finish.
And you say that you took the photograph through a gap in one of the screens.
Luckily for me, they were pretty shoddy woven. Pulled out the reeds apart, thrust the lens of my camera through the gap. Would I get away with it, or would I be seen? It was a gamble of a lifetime. A tenacity of purpose that's considered admirable in journalism, I suppose. Run a risk one day, run a scoop the next. That's minimalism in a nutshell.
At last, it would appear that we have a genuine witness to this wicked crime. The evidence and testimony are extremely compelling. I believe we may be close to a verdict. No.
Wonderful news, Your Excellency. Wonderful.
Nevertheless, it cannot be denied that this testimony begs one very large question.
What question?
Exclusive news, a startling photograph, all the makings of an exceptional story for the reporter. Why then was the story never published? Oh, that's right.
Why wasn't it?
It seems clear to me there are circumstances at play here that are yet to be understood.
Ha! More pathetic excuses.
Very well, then, counsel, proceed with your cross-examination. Yes, Your Excellency. There's more to this reporter than meets the eye. He's keeping something about this case very close to his chest. The beach hut
The hut was made of shoddy reed screens, so plenty of gaps I could see through.
I have zero problem with that statement.
The Englishwoman was sitting on a stool, and the girl came in and started arguing with her.
I need more elaboration on that. She actually saw him and Bonnie-san entering the hut.
Yep, and she was raging like my journal spirit.
And the argument mentioned was about what, exactly?
You stole it. I didn't steal it. That kind of thing.
Talking about the poison, I suppose.
Student girl walked right up to the Englishwoman and really started laying into her. I mean, if she laid into her anymore, there would have been eggs.
The man should have been an author. His descriptive talents are wasted on journalism.
The student's ranting fell on deaf ears, like a Japanese person listening to English for the first time.
He really ought to work on his similes first, though, to be honest.
Anyway, the point is, that woman in the dock was mightily angry. And her temper finally got the better of her, it seems. Dear me. Which was the climactic moment I caught on film. Seconds later, the girl pulled out a knife, throwing the Englishwoman to the floor as she stabbed her in the back.
Do you swear before this court that you actually saw the precise moment when the stabbing took place?
Ha! The precise moment? I didn't see just that. I saw the whole hellish scene play out, from start to finish. We have a simple plan of the beach hut. Perhaps you could use it to explain to the court exactly what you witnessed. Right you are. It's all here in my mini memo pad. When I first peered into the hut, I'm sure that the Englishwoman was on the stool at the back of the hut here. Yes, the accused's own testimony confirmed that.
She just sat at the back of the hut, smiling sweetly, is what I have noted down.
It's my turn to testify now. Try not to interrupt. She has a point. Then, the next moment, as I was watching, the evil student girl entered the hut. After a while, the pair of them ended up in the middle of the hut, arguing furiously. The Englishwoman went for the student, but the girl dodged out of the way. And in a flash, plunged a knife into her adversary's back as the two passed each other.
What you describe as a grim crime indeed.
Never sugarcoat the truth. That's what minimalism says.
Beach hut plan is entered. By the way, Minimum-san, whilst you were watching that terrible scene unfold before your eyes through the gap in the screen, did it not occur to you to try to prevent that tragedy, rather than capture it on film?
Journals have to be observers. can't get involved. That's a raison d'etre.
So you didn't converse with Miss Brett at all? Obviously not.
Believe not. As an observer, always remain on the outside looking in.
And that's something to be proud of, is it? Your Excellency, if I may. Yes, Professor. I think the witness's last expertly phrased statement should perhaps be added to his formal testimony. Father, what are you? I will grant the defense's request. Mademoiselle, you will supplement your formal testimony with the aforementioned statement.
Well, nihilism is the foundation of Penimiosoism, but I'll gladly prove my words aren't meaningless. I never once set foot in a hut, nor spoke with the Englishwoman. I was there only as an observer. What are you thinking?
Where's the beach plan here? He's kind of viewing it from a weird side. If that's the entrance to the hut, she stabbed him sideways, right? From there. The testimony at which he said is a little weird to me. I don't know why.
I will. So, his positioning is weird, and it did cause me many headaches. But the position of where he took the photograph is irrelevant.
Okay. So we could connect the pen to him because the pen's right there, right? Because we have the pen with his symbol on the actual thing. That's one way, but I'm not too sure if this is the right place. You know what I mean?
Hey, if you need confirmation for anything, I'm right here.
Can you confirm or deny the pen for me?
Confirm.
I figured.
Because he's saying he's never went in, and your suspicion is that the pen is his, and it was found inside the hut.
Ah, okay, there we go. Until now, I've had a firm belief that newspapers are in the business of uncovering and publishing the truth.
You're spot on there. Press don't lie, which is why I'm proud to wear the emblem of the Show You News on my arm.
There's the emblem.
In a way, that's more mini-minimalism.
Sadly, though, it seems the journalists who write for those papers don't always share the same passion for the truth.
What are you suggesting with those recriminatory words, Counsel?
Mademoiselle, do you recognize this fountain pen? This pen was found at the scene of Miss Brett's death. In fact, the murdered victim was gripping it in her hand as she died.
What are you?
If you look at the barrel of the pen, you'll notice that its owner's initials are engraved there. R.M.
Yes, thank you for bringing that up, Counsel. The initials of the accused. Remember.
I'm pretty sure he's going to click in. Is it a coincidence, I wonder, that your initials are also RM?
No.
Write in many memo. RM.
That's horse dung. Can't you see it? One of those central tenets of minimalism is being a pencil user.
And yet, as the court will clearly be able to see, you're on your right hand. There's a very obvious blue ink stain. It would appear that you must have rather. It would appear that you must have rather carelessly left it somewhere recently. What do you gotta say?
Now you know what's on his hand.
Okay. Your favorite fountain pen, that is.
Horse dung.
Manny Memo-san, is it not the case that before she died, You met with Giselle Brett on that beach hut.
Why would you listen to this absurd nonsense? It's nothing but another excuse. Exactly. Sure, you news will stand behind me all the way. I deny everything. There must be many people with their initials RM, and there are stars in the sky.
The defense has neither the time nor the inclination to count every star in the sky.
Huh?
And there's no need anyway, because the pen has more to tell. Yes, there is another clue. A clue that undeniably proves who its owner really is. In that case, counsel defense will now show the court where this alleged clue lies. Of course, Your Excellency. I'm just going to assume it's the emblem itself. Got it. Got it! As well as in...
What is got it in Japanese? Like, how would you say that in Japanese?
It depends. I think there's multiple ways you could say it, but like... Sometimes they go yata, you know, like alright, you know, depending on...
Yeah. Yatta!
Right, but sometimes, like if a teacher says, do you understand, like wakarimasu ka? They'll say wakata, which means I understand, right? Like, which could also mean I got it in English, right? Do you understand? I got it, right? It could mean that. Like there's,
I feel like neither yatta or wakata makes sense.
Yeah.
For context. Yatta makes more sense, given what you said.
Yeah.
Because wata you said is like I understand.
Yeah.
Like, but that's not really like I got it. Like,
yeah.
This is it.
Like wakata is pretty much like you get it, but there could also be some third word I don't know. Like I'm still learning, so who knows. Well, the initials. There's also an emblem on this fountain pen, an emblem that you will of course recognize. Minimum-san. Goodness me, it's the emblem of the Shoyu News. In other words, the owner of this pen is an employee at the Shoyu News, whose initials are RM. Suddenly the stars in the night sky don't seem so numerous, do they? Well, Minimum-san, how do you respond?
No!
I'm not gonna lie, I think she's a better lawyer than Naruhodo.
So, this is how the mighty Supreme Court works, is it? Using coercive tactics to well-meaning citizens reveal harmless secrets.
I've used nothing but honest tactics.
Alright then, fine. I won't try to hide it anymore. Yes, not long before that grim tragedy unfolded. I, the Shoyu News reporter, on behalf of the public, conducted an interview with the Englishwoman.
An interview?
You never mentioned this before.
When exactly was this?
As I said, it was before the evil student girl showed up in her face and hut. Couldn't have lasted more than 2 or 3 minutes. That's all. It was just a brief exchange. But it came to nothing. As we many minimalists say, the people do not pay their dues with unworthy news.
However insignificant you seem this to be, the court cannot overlook the meeting between yourself and the victim. You will testify now under oath about the precise nature of this meeting and what transpired. Got it, yes.
Yes, alright, but...
I wasn't trying to read it out, I was trying to, like, nudge you on.
Sure.
I guarantee you. Refund my $350.
Condition? So, in all good conscience, couldn't speak out alone about this. You need to call back the earlier witnesses, Soseki Natsume.
Soseki-san?
Oh yes, according to my notes here, that man has a secret of his own. Brace yourselves. It's not a harmless one. It's big.
What?
Many men will state one man's secrets is another man's front page story.
Very well, I will grant the witness's request in this instance. Officer, summon the earlier witness back to the stand. So Seki-san is hiding something. Yeah, that cat.
What do you think? What do you think Soseki is hiding before any of this happens? I want to hear your thoughts. Like, what do you think the secret is?
I'm thinking he stole the contents of other books he found in America and rewrote them in Japanese.
How would that relate to this case?
I feel like he's just doing that to spite him and nothing
Why?
else. Because I don't know, maybe
I'm trying to make you. I'm trying to see what your thoughts are.
it's either he's trying to cushion the blow on himself or he's trying to detract as much attention from what he's doing and putting other people in the hot seat in his place.
The English woman for an interview, but she declined, so left the hut without making a fuss. Then, watching secretly from outside, saw the woman being stabbed and the other witnesses running in. The detective realized that the victim had a pulse, so he ran off to fetch help. That's when this writer man here asked the woman a very significant question. But he didn't say anything about that in his testimony, which is why many minimus demand it revealed now.
Oh, wait. Is he trying to get him in trouble as well?
So he's saying Soseki-san omitted something from testimony. He didn't mention something.
Mm-hmm.
Something like important.
You mean to say the victim? The victim regained consciousness?
The
Ah,
victim
damn
regained
it!
consciousness.
That one I did fully.
That one, yeah.
I was in the moment. Well,
And when she did, you decided to ask her a question.
that's true. Yes.
He did. He did. That's not all. The woman gave him a very definitive answer. An answer that incriminates the accused. This is preposterous. Why am I only hearing about this now? Why didn't you mention this before, you yokel hack?
It wasn't even a conversation. Yes, I did pose the Withering English Rose a question. I don't deny it. But she could no longer speak. She was barely conscious, even. Counsel for the defense, I expect a thorough cross-examination to be conducted here. This court must and will know the truth. Absolutely, Your Excellency. Here we go.
Asked the Englishwoman for an interview, but she declined, so left the hut without making a fuss.
We will see. You asked her for an interview, you say.
Well, of course I did. Why did I ask her about the incident she was involved in at the end of last year?
About the case in which Dr. John H. Wilson lost his life.
That's not the way I phrased it. Minimoa has called for straight talking. Why did you murder Dr. Wilson, is how I put it to her.
Yes, that sort of talking is as straight as a ruler.
Yep. Ask every question as if you're asking for a menu in a restaurant, I say. It's the best way. Veteran at the paper taught me that.
And how did Miss Brett answer?
With one simple phrase. Mystery is a woman's charm. Whew, that told me. So I waltzed right out of there.
Really, something about that doesn't quite seem to fit together.
Leave every room as if you've waltzed in a dance hall. Say, it's the best way. Veteran at a paper taught me that. Then, watching secretly from outside, I saw the woman being stabbed and and the other witnesses come running.
That was very persistent of you, considering that Miss Brett had just turned you away.
Persistence wins the prize. Any minimalist will tell you that. Let them think you've left. Just then, they lower their guard. That's when you swoop in for the swoop.
Swoop in for
Scoop.
the swoop. Swoop in
Shut
for
up.
the swoop.
Swoop in for the swoop.
Wubba lubba dub
And
dub.
the fruits of your labor are all too apparent in this telling photograph. Though I'm sure the young yokel student would rather not be reminded of this damning evidence.
Actually, it's thanks to that photograph we managed to identify the witness.
And now that you found me, I'll tell you whatever you want to know. I've got nothing to hide.
I'm sure.
Please, do go ahead, witness. The court is eager to hear what you have to say. Try to stop me. There's a story to tell, and I'm going to tell it. The detective realized that the victim still had a pulse, so he ran off to fetch help.
And Saseki-san remained behind in the hut.
That's right. Yep. The author friend here. Was a blubbering wreck, shaking all over from head to his toes. Mustache twitching, eye bulging. What do you expect? Oh, wait, that's you.
Oh, what do you expect? You don't know the terrifying troubles that taunted me whilst traveling abroad. Back, behind, baleful, bars. They're coming for me, surely. That's all I could think. I felt as though I were grasping for air, drowning in a sea of cold sweat. Poor Saseki-san, his experience in London have all scared him deeply. As the world seemed to close in around me, I quietly recited a prayer to Amida Buddha. Eternal emptiness, empty eternity. The end is coming for me, surely. No sutras are to be resounded in my courtroom, please.
Now, come to the crucial part. That's when it happened. That's when this writer man asked the woman a very significant question.
Hold it. What question? What exactly did he say?
Well now, you didn't hear that from the horse's mouth, I think. Don't you, Mr. Writer man? Out with it, you yokel hack. What did you say to her? What did you say to the dying Englishwoman?
Well, in truth, I've been catching crabs at the water's edge and building castles in the sand, you see. Well, the seaside is a place to be at leisure, I suppose, even for a grown man. But then all of a sudden, from that little beach hut, a young girl's panic-stricken cries for help pierced the air. Ray. I ran up to the beach to see what was happening, to find the defendant leaning over the collapsed victim. As soon as Inspector Hosonaga saw Miss Brett on the ground, he sprinted off to get help. And then, just a moment later, I heard a faint moan, a moan from the dead Englishwoman. I nearly jumped out of my skin. But what did you ask her, Saseki-san? I asked her, who did this to you? Don't retract this any longer. How did the woman respond? She didn't. She said nothing in response. But when in the stand, you will answer the questions asked of you unambiguously. Now, without evasion or recitance, I demand that you amend your testimony. I will. She just lifted a trembling finger and pointed in the direction of the defendant. How is that possible? Miss Brett pointed a finger at the defendant. Saseki-san, is that true? It's not easy to stand here and say this, but when we first entered the beach hut, the Englishwoman was sprawled on the floor before us, with a student girl standing on the far side of her. And when I asked, who did this to you? The Englishwoman summoned her last ounce of strength to point at a trembling finger at the back of the hut, which was, it can't be denied, in the direction of the student girl who was stands accused today. Oh, that isn't good. She was pointing behind. Like, behind. So, Seki-san, why on earth did you neglect to mention this in your original testimony? But, fiddlesticks, I say. This is not a British court of law. You will respond in Japanese. Yes, of course, the Englishwoman did point her finger towards the back of the hut. But I was trembling, and she was trembling, and everything was a blur. And then thinking about it, I feel as though perhaps she was pointing a slightly different direction. Actually, no, not slightly, in a very different direction to where the student girl was standing. To somewhere at the back of the hut where nobody was standing at all. You mean that your memory of events and the direction of the victim was pointing are both unclear? Yes, that's it. Unclear. I'm very unclear. Your Excellency, surely this proves the matter beyond reasonable doubt.
Excellency.
Frick!
Bring that statement back up so I can read it. Or just keep skipping forward. Alright, so I gotta read both of these lines before you close it, and I can read the current one.
Starting with your best objection sound.
Objection!
There we go.
Your Excellency, surely this proves the matter beyond all reasonable doubt. Yet the woman may barely have been conscious, and yet perhaps her finger wavered slightly. But there can be no doubt that this was an attempt by the victim to confirm the identity of her assailant. Why? Because the court can see there was no one other than the accused in the direction the victim was pointing. It is now abundantly clear that no one besides the accused could have possibly have committed this crime.
I'm inclined to agree. And in the absence of any credible argument to the contrary, I believe we can now conclude this trial.
Headlines writing itself.
Sorry. I was thinking that bunny from Ghost Stories.
I don't think I've seen Ghost Stories.
Oh. We are. If we are still on when the case finishes and we finish stream, I'm going to just send you where the dub is. The English dub.
Oh no, I'm scared.
It's great. Okay.